Welcome to the 2019 City of Seattle Primary Election Video Voter's Guide. Your chance to hear directly from the participants appearing on the August 6th primary election ballot. This is an all-mail election. Instead of going to a polling place, ballots will be sent to all registered voters. All ballots must be returned on or before Election Day. Each statement is up to 2 minutes long and unedited. The speakers appear on your screen in the order they will appear on the ballot. The candidates appearing in these videos represent campaigns for each of the 7 Seattle City Council seats and 3 seats on the Seattle School Board. Also included are speakers representing proponents and opponents of the Seattle Library Levy, Proposition 1, on the Seattle section of your ballot. All the elective positions included in this guide are nonpartisan. First up, the Seattle City Council. The Seattle City Council is the city's elected legislature and is made up of 9 city council members, 2 at large and 7 who represent a geographic district of the city. Each of the 9 council members is elected to a term of 4 years. Council members set policy and further that policy by adopting the city's operating budget. The operating budget includes spending for major city projects, public safety, human services, and delivery of both water and electricity to city residents. The council also levies taxes and enacts regulations. This year, the City of Seattle will elect 7 council members based on the city's 7 geographic districts. All city voters will have the opportunity to vote for 1 city council member representing their district. The top 2 vote getters in each district will proceed to the November general election ballot.
Hello, I am a husband, father, and homeowner who has lived in Seattle for over 10 years. I have been repeatedly disillusioned by the ineffectiveness of the City Council. The people in Seattle deserve a council that listens and looks past partisan politics to deliver results. I am driven and qualified to accomplish this. I have volunteered as a trustee at the Fulcrum Foundation, as president of the Holy Rosary School Commission, and as a basketball coach at our local YMCA. For over a decade, I worked for the Seattle Police Department, spending several years in the policy unit during the consent decree. I have also taught at Argosy University. Homelessness, substance abuse, and mental illness are citywide crises. I can bring common sense and trust back to City Council deliberations on these topics. I will push for keeping our city affordable without further raising taxes. I will bring accountability to the management of city funds. The Seattle I am fighting for prioritizes dignified, safe living conditions. I am dedicated to maintaining unity between SPD and the community, improving transit, and removing double standards in our legal system. I want to make our police officers feel valued and empowered to do their job. I will address the SPD staffing shortage so public safety is improved. My top priorities are homelessness, public safety, and restoring accountability in city spending. Solving homelessness requires space and services for all the unhoused. This means creating a regional network of immediately available emergency housing with specialized social services, followed by enforcing the law when campers refuse to either accept services or move along. People will not be allowed to live in illegal conditions. I will also push for addiction treatment services, not injection sites. I want intentional development practices so that public services and schools can accommodate growth in population. MHA must be revisited so upzoned areas necessarily include affordable housing and adequate parking. It's time for a new direction on the City Council, one that puts the voice of residents first and delivers improvements on our local epidemics. I am committed to being responsible to residents and the leader our city needs to move forward. Thank you.
I work hard for District 1. Added bus service to Alki, Admiral, and Highland Park, restoring police community service officers, keeping the Concord Elementary Learning Center open, and more hours for Coleman Pool. No issue is too big or too small. I've passed laws against exhaust noise at Alki and legislation to fix derelict buildings in Delridge and South Park. I've worked with Sound Transit so light rail doesn't tear apart the junction. I've increased opportunity, better laws for renters and workers, and a green jobs career pathway so everyone has a place to live and work. I've gone to the mat for small businesses all over the city, from Luna Park and Fauntleroy to the University District and the Central District. I insist on accountability. When City Hall wanted $1.4 million to bail out the Pronto Bike Company, I said no. Now downtown's demanding a First Avenue streetcar. It's $143 million over budget. I say let's invest that money in real transportation infrastructure. I'm requiring new oversight on big construction projects. Government can't do everything. We must do the important things and do them well. On addressing our homelessness crisis, I led passage of a $29 million bond to boost affordable housing built in 2018. We're requiring developers for the first time to pay for affordable housing that's truly affordable. I've helped families and seniors pay their bills, stay in their homes, and prevent homelessness before it starts. We must have the political will to do more. I'm endorsed by MLK Labor, the King County 34th and 11th District Democrats, Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, King County Council Member Joe McDermott, State Senator Joe NGUYEN, and Seattle Council Member Lorena Gonzalez. I've lived in District 1 for 19 years. My grandchildren attend Sanislo Elementary and Chief Sealth High. I hope I've earned your vote.
Hello, my name is Phil TAVEL and I'm running for Seattle City Council District 1 because Seattle can do better. 4 years ago, we were talking about skyrocketing costs of living, a lack of affordable housing, more and more people living on our streets, traffic problems, and cost overruns in civic projects. I have seen no improvement in these and several other issues, while many have gotten worse. It's time to make a change in our city's leadership. Our council needs to listen to all of the people of our city and not just a vocal minority. We need to know where our hard-earned taxpayer money is going and what we're getting for it. We need to be working with the people and the businesses in our community and not against them. It's time to end the divisive politics, restore common sense and moderation to our government, and focus on effectively, efficiently, and equitably delivering services to the people of our city. We have to change the way we're addressing homelessness and the rise in property and violent crimes. We must do a better job helping people with untreated mental health disorders and unaddressed substance abuse issues. And we need to properly fund and staff our police department to ensure that they can enforce all of the laws of our city fairly and evenly for all of us that live here. I will make sure that bureaucracy and politics do not keep us from implementing common sense solutions to these problems. I'm proud to be supported by dozens of the small businesses that form the heart and soul of our community. Just drive down California Avenue to see all the community establishments like Husky Deli, Tallarico's, Menashe Jewelers, The Bridge, and many more with my sign in their window. They know that I will listen, that I'm an everyday part of our community, and that I care deeply about making Seattle a better, safer, and more productive city for everyone. I've been a business owner, a physics teacher, a judge, and a public defender for 15 years. I'm a community volunteer and serve on the board of the Morgan Community Association, Allied Arts, the Green Spaces Coalition. I'm a renter, a father of a first grader at Arbor Heights Elementary, and a youth coach at West Seattle Bowl. I will bring back moderation and common sense to our council. I ask you for your support and for your vote. Thank you.
Justice equals peace. You must remember that where there's no peace in a society, there's no justice in the society. My name is OMARI TAHIR-GARRETT, and I'm running for Seattle City Council position number 2 in order to solve problems. The major problem facing us today is the Native Americans in their own land have been dispossessed of their land. We must return their land back to the Native Americans the same way the land in South Africa must be returned back to the people. Julius Malema, the head of the economic freedom fighters in South Africa, is working on the same problem that Native Americans have in colonial America. It's not easy to face the truth about America's founding. Yes, the native people were killed and Africans were brought to North America and enslaved. And ever since then, we have been under the rule and control of others. Gun culture is one of the major problems in America today. And the gun culture comes from the fact that this land was taken from the Native Americans with the guns. We have a big problem in Seattle with the state legislature trying to give the SVI building to the Reverend McKinney Community Development PDA. You can't establish a religion as a dominant religion. Vote your conscience.
I'm Ari Hoffman. I'm a husband and a father living in Seattle for 16 years. I'm running to serve the people of District 2 because, like so many of us, when I needed help from our city's leaders, they weren't there. We deserve better. We deserve leaders that will serve the people in Seattle by investing in dignity. For those suffering from homelessness, we need to renovate and build short-term emergency supportive housing to get people off the streets now. For those struggling to get by, we need to dramatically increase affordable housing units with every new development. Everyone deserves to live in dignity in a place they call their own. People need more than just a space to pitch a tent without access to even the most basic hygiene or laundry services. For those suffering from addiction, from physical and mental illness, we need the dignity of a robust healthcare and human services infrastructure. We need addiction and mental health treatment. We need to bridge the gap between healthcare professionals and the people who need access to care. Our society should not allow illness to cause homelessness. The cost of living has increased so much that yesterday's middle class is today's working poor. Every day we see more and more people slipping down the economic ladder. We need leaders who will not abandon working families and small businesses, that will prioritize opportunity and promote policies that help people achieve the dignity of a living wage job. As a father of 3, I'm committed to public safety. Our firefighters and police are being asked to provide more services with fewer resources. More firefighters have died from suicide in Seattle than have died from fires. We need our first responders. We don't often encounter them until we really need them to help us, to save us. But when they are well staffed and well taken care of, they will serve us all better. I want to write policy based on results. I want to end bad policies that waste taxpayer dollars and invest in ideas that will lift people in Seattle out of poverty. I am not interested in whether a policy came from the left or the right. I only care about making our government work for the people of Seattle. I'm Ari Hoffman. I'm ready to go to work for you. I would be honored to have your vote. Please check out all my policies at hoffmanforseattle.com.
Hi, I'm Mark Solomon, and I'm running to represent you on Seattle City Council for District 2. I'm running because I want every voice in District 2 to be heard by our city government and for the needs of our community to be met. With my knowledge, experience, and the relationships that I have built throughout my 29 years of service to our community as a Seattle Police Crime Prevention Coordinator and as a retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel, I believe that I am the best person suited to carry out this task. I know our community. I was born and raised here. I know the concerns facing District 2, and I know how the city works. And I am prepared to work for you from day one to address priorities of public safety, homelessness, affordability, and supporting community businesses. Regarding public safety, I will allocate additional funding to community-based crime and violence prevention efforts. Further, I will work with the Chief of Police to promote comprehensive community policing and relational policing programs in our district. In response to homelessness, I will allocate more funding to diversion programs to prevent people from becoming homeless in the first place. Regarding affordability, I will champion efforts to minimize displacement of long-term residents in our neighborhoods and work to ensure any fees paid into the Affordable Housing Fund from District 2 are used in District 2. To support our businesses, I will introduce legislation to designate a portion of the Equitable Development Fund specifically for small commercial space development and will work to pursue tax credits for small commercial space lease rates. Addressing our city's issues takes thoughtful leadership that will seek input, listen, collaborate, and act in a timely manner. Leadership that will enact policies to make the city safe, equitable, inclusive, and functioning. Leaders are accessible, responsive, and accountable to you. I pledge to be that leader. Thank you for your time, and I ask for your support and your vote on August 6th.
I am the candidate with the experience to offer bold new approaches to our community's most urgent challenges: homelessness and lack of affordable housing, limited career paths for our youth, and increasing negative impacts of climate change. I've worked at the City of Seattle for over a decade and am proud to have been the energy behind the creation of the first ever environmental justice program at Seattle City Light. I've worked directly with communities to advocate for equity and justice. I intend to build on that experience as the City Council member to foster transparency, equity, and cultural accessibility across city government. This starts with facing head-on one of our city's most visible challenges, our homelessness crisis. Over the past several months, I, along with my husband and 2 young children, have volunteered at Camp Second Chance. For our family, this has been a transformative experience to better know our neighbors facing the challenges of life on the street. We need to provide more support for those programs that work and continue to build upon those successes, but we also need to do more to protect our existing affordable housing units and meet the city's commitment to build 6,000 new low-income and affordable housing units. We will work with regional partners, private businesses, and nonprofits to consider policies and funding while working to stop the pressures of gentrification and displacement so that all residents can thrive in place. I have been blessed to have the means to own a home in Seattle and understand firsthand the challenges and security that come with homeownership. We must provide stronger protections for our renters so they don't end up homeless. We can't displace people as quickly as we build affordable housing. Lastly, we know that we face a climate crisis. I believe it is time to call for a Seattle Green New Deal. This framework can serve as a catalyst to fast-track the work underway at the city's Climate Action Plan, creating jobs, opportunities, and career pathways for our youth to become the next generation of environmental, clean energy workers. I'd be honored to have your vote. My name is Chris Pagaro.
My name is Phyllis Porter, and I am running for Seattle City Council District 2 because I have lived through too many of the crises that the people of Seattle are now facing and intimately understand why we need a representative who has lived the same experiences of those they are hoping to represent at City Hall. Seattle needs a responsive representative leader who will get things done at City Hall. As Seattle continues to buckle under the pressure of so many different crises, it is more important than ever that we seek practical solutions, not just platitudes. From the Chinatown International District to Rainier Beach, people are at risk of losing their communities. As a renter, I've experienced astronomical rent increases that have made staying here harder and harder. One of the most important things we can do is to keep people in the homes they currently live in and provide more relief to their increasing costs. Our unsheltered crises need smart solutions that prioritize keeping people in their homes and mental health services. We need to be better stewards of our resources, prioritizing finding new progressive revenue streams to build more housing right here in District 2 and have places to immediately house those who need it. I decided to take up cycling and began to see the city in ways I'd never seen it before. My eyes opened to the dangers of South Seattle streets, especially Rainier Avenue. South Seattle residents have experienced far too many casualties on our district's main arterial, and they happen here more than anywhere in the city. Transportation access is an equity issue we need to prioritize. Representative leadership means electing people who have lived through the experiences of those they serve. I want to go to City Hall to be a responsive voice to the community and implement smart policies that help those who need it most. My perseverance and lived experience will help make our community a better place for everyone. I would be honored to earn your vote so that we can make District 2 work for all of us. I would appreciate your vote on August 6th.
Hello, I'm Tammy Morales, running for City Council in District 2. Seattle is at a crossroads this election. Will we allow corporate special interests to dictate local policy, or will we shift power to the people of our city? I'm a community organizer, a longtime budget and policy analyst, and a mom with 2 kids in Seattle Public Schools. I've spent my career building healthy neighborhoods with greater food security, better housing, and stronger protections for working people. I did this work in coalition with many of our community organizations, joining to find solutions and advocate for our district priorities. That's how I lead, by joining with neighbors and those most impacted to advance equity and shared prosperity. I'm running to build power for the people of District 2 so we all feel safe, we all thrive, and so we make decisions that are good for all of us, not just the most privileged. We know that cities must lead the way in protecting our communities. I'll work to create a city where we can live without fear of displacement by building more housing to serve low-income families, seniors, and to support the transition out of homelessness. I'll invest in our young people, from those needing more childcare options to students who are transitioning to college or to union apprenticeship programs. Together, we can transition to green building and better transportation choices so we end our reliance on fossil fuel, because we can't call it an investment if it destroys the planet. And we must fix our upside-down tax structure. I'll work to find the right mix of progressive revenue so we can stop funding the city on the backs of our low-income neighbors. For Seattle to thrive, we need wealthy corporations to pay their fair share. I'm proud to have the endorsement of grocery, healthcare, and warehouse workers who know my commitment to working families. I've been endorsed by Representative Jayapal, State Senator Saldana, City Council members Mosqueda and Gonzalez, and County Council member Larry Gossett, as well as the Washington Progressive Caucus, Latino Caucus, 37th District Democrats, and the Sierra Club. I'm Tammy Morales, and I'm asking for your vote, so together we can build power for our community.
Hi, I'm Logan Bowers, and I want to talk about what's important, you. You deserve a council member who listens to you and who represents your community. Reciting my resume and endorsements doesn't tell you what you really need to know. What's my plan to make Seattle work for you? Over my lifetime, I've had the pleasure of watching Seattle prosper. However, the City Council has failed to keep up. We've gone from high housing prices to a housing crisis. We've gone from housing instability to a homelessness crisis. Our city faces tough problems, but I am a problem solver, and I have a plan. I have a plan to re-legalize housing that is affordable throughout Seattle without cost to you by authorizing neighborhood-friendly density, including duplexes and triplexes citywide. I have a plan to shelter our unhoused neighbors because we currently only have 6,000 shelter beds for 12,000 people. And the council needs to approve not just more services, but the kinds of services that actually get people off the streets. I have a plan to make Seattle 100% walkable by legalizing grocery stores, restaurants, and childcare centers in all neighborhoods. And I have a plan to make Seattle work for you. I've led organizations small and large, including building a neighborhood retail store with my wife, Jarena. I am proud that we were one of the first in our industry to offer healthcare to our staff of 35. I know how important it is to stop talking and listen. And I know how to do the hard work away from the limelight to succeed. I get things done. I'm humbled to have received the most democracy vouchers in this district. Your neighbors know that I am here to listen to you, prioritize your needs, and get things done. Join your neighbors and vote for me, Logan Bowers, to make Seattle affordable, welcoming, and equitable.
My name is Zachary DeWolf. I'm a citizen of the Chippewa Cree Nation. I'm a program manager at All Home, which coordinates homelessness efforts across King County. And I serve as a director on the Seattle School Board, working on behalf of students, teachers, and families every day. And I'm running now, as I did for School Board, for the 4,280 students experiencing homelessness in Seattle Public Schools. These students' housing status and how they get around absolutely affects their public education, but schools alone cannot address their needs and opportunity gaps. Creating a Seattle where these students and their families and all of our neighbors can thrive is deeply important to me. But our current representation isn't working for all of us. We need leadership that urgently and successfully drives towards solutions, especially on homelessness, housing affordability, transportation, safety, the climate crisis, and public education. And in Native culture, we often talk about the 7 generations principle, which says that what we do now must create positive and sustainable and meaningful solutions for today and 7 generations into the future. And in order to do that, you deserve a council member who shares your values, has an incredible work ethic, and someone who has a record of getting things done. As president of the Capitol Hill Community Council, in alliance with our friends from Chinatown International District, we expanded law enforcement assisted diversion to both our neighborhoods. We created the country's first renters commission. We piloted pedestrian-only streets. We created a law that requires landlords to provide voter registration to new tenants. And as your school board director, I was proud to have helped develop one of the most innovative strategic plans in decades, proud to embed racial equity in our BEX 5 levy, helped fix our databases for trans students, proud to adopt science curriculum after almost 30 years, proud to move our work sessions out into the community, and I was proud this year to lead on bringing community workforce agreements to Seattle Public Schools, a first in the state. Commitments I made on the campaign trail to you and followed through on. Just recently, I passed out diplomas at the Garfield High School graduation. And at this ceremony, all 18 valedictorians gave a speech. And in it, they implored all of us to act. See, in 11 years, in 2030, our Earth will reach a critical milestone for when we will have needed to drastically reduce greenhouse gas emissions. It is up to us to act urgently on this issue and so much more for the future of these young folks and the future of our city. I have the values, the hard work, and the record of results we need right now to create a Seattle we can all be proud of for today and 7 generations into the future.
Hi, I'm Pat Murakami. When I first moved to Seattle, I got a good union job, paid my way through college, earning 2 bachelor's and a master's degree. I opened a small tech company. I worked hard, was able to buy my first house in the Central District, and build a life for myself. Unfortunately, the same opportunities aren't available today. The American dream seems further out of reach than ever. Our district has a shameful history of redlining, gentrification, and racism, with residents being overlooked and ignored. I want to provide and restore the opportunities in District 3 that allow everyone to thrive. The American dream is having a good job that can support a family. I will expand opportunities for apprenticeships, create a website to help individuals navigate all the training and educational opportunities available, and ensure protections for workers across all industries. The American dream is being able to own a home. I will start a home buying program to help those now excluded from ownership and protect seniors from being taxed out of their homes. I will tax out-of-state or country real estate purchases to pay for affordable units rather than taxing us, and assess fees on Seattle's many empty apartments and commercial space. I will bring an end to inadequate in lieu fees and demand affordable units in new development. The American dream is being able to start a business. I will make it easier to start or expand a small business in Seattle and provide support for immigrant, minority, and women-owned businesses. The American dream is a community that has your back when you're in need. I will fight for on-demand mental health and drug treatment. We must provide results-oriented services to help people, not just give those suffering a space to suffer in. I ask you to join me. We can once again aspire to our highest potential. You too can have the American dream right here in Seattle. If you put your faith in me, I will dedicate all of my energy to making Seattle the best that it can be. I am Pat Murakami, and I am ready to fight for you. We can do better together.
Hello, I'm Egan Orion, and I'm running for Seattle City Council in District 3. Today, I ask you to join my campaign for innovation, accountability, and pragmatic solutions for the very real challenges our city faces, and to help me celebrate the best of what Seattle has to offer. I believe that in one of the most innovative places on earth, anything is possible. I'm a fourth-generation District 3 resident. From the district, I've started 2 small businesses and a nonprofit. I love Seattle. I celebrate it every day. I celebrate it by throwing the biggest single festival day in all of Seattle, Pride Fest, which in itself celebrates the best of our values of inclusion, diversity, and love. Through my work in Capitol Hill, I celebrate small businesses and all that they contribute to a healthy, vibrant community. In the Central District, I celebrate the diversity of my neighborhood, where gay and straight and black and white live side by side and have taught me what it means to be a good neighbor. To all my District 3 neighbors, I vow to represent your voice at Council and be accountable to you. Central to my campaign is the imperative to provide 24/7 low-barrier shelter and treatment on demand for mental health and addiction to all who need it. Let's use our expanded partnership with the county to bond over 1,000 new supportive housing units and vow to bring them online within 3 years. Despite our wealth and resources, we are letting our unsheltered neighbors languish on our city streets. Let's bring everyone to the table to remedy this human crisis that the current council has failed to adequately address. We live in one of the most innovative places on earth. Let's harness that innovation to lead on climate change policy by investing in wind and solar, incentivizing green building and remodeling, and by electrifying our entire public transportation system. Why our current D3 council member has moved our politics further left, she's failed to do the hard work to actually move our city forward. I celebrate our city's progressiveness, but we'll pair it with a plan and a coalition so we can actually get something done. I believe that with the collective innovation and will available in our city, we can tackle anything. There's so much to do, so join me. Let's get started.
I've used my 2 terms in City Hall to help build powerful movements to win historic victories in the face of fierce corporate opposition. I'm proud to have helped make Seattle the first major city to win the $15 minimum wage. I worked alongside movements for landmark renters' rights, such as the move-in fee payment plan, so renters no longer need thousands of dollars just to move in. We established Indigenous Peoples Day, gained crucial funding for LGBTQ services, and won the first ever city funds for legal support for renters facing eviction. Seattle is rapidly becoming unaffordable. The for-profit housing market has failed us. In spite of a construction boom, our housing and homelessness crisis remains among the worst in the nation. That's why Seattle needs rent control free of corporate loopholes. We also need a massive expansion of affordable social housing paid for by taxing big business, not working people or small business. Seattle needs a Green New Deal which can create thousands of union jobs. What's at stake this year is who runs Seattle, big business or working people. Last year, Jeff Bezos bullied our city to defeat the Amazon tax, which would have funded housing and services. Now, Amazon and big business are trying to buy this election and have piled $1 million into 2 corporate PACs. Their mission, anybody but SAWANT. Why? Because they know I am unshakably accountable to working people, and because our movement has shown that when we fight, we can win. As a socialist, feminist, and union member, I am proud to be endorsed by National Women's Political Caucus, by Sierra Club, and by unions in public schools, healthcare, universities, hotels, and by postal workers and laborers. I appeal to you to join our movement to make Seattle affordable for all.
Hi, my name is Amy Nguyen, and I'm running for Seattle City Council District 3 to ensure that we work together to create a Seattle for all of us. I've dedicated my career to public service to improve the lives of others. As a public defender, I work closely with people who are homeless, struggling with mental health, and fighting addiction. As a former tenants' rights attorney, I fought against slumlords and illegal evictions, allowing families to remain housed and live in better conditions. As a daughter of Vietnamese refugees who relied on subsidized housing and public education as a child, I understand the need for compassion and accountability in our city council. No other candidates have worked on the ground like I have to understand the root causes of homelessness. My unique experiences provide me the skills to work with community and council members to address our homelessness crisis. I'm advocating for barrier-free treatment so that our family, friends, and neighbors can receive the help they need to address their mental health and addiction struggles. As an expecting mother, I want to ensure that our streets are safe for walking, biking, busing, and driving. This requires us to work together with community members and SDOT to implement a comprehensive plan rather than creating division. By working together, we can save lives from traffic accidents and improve health by reducing carbon emission. I know that we can work together to ensure that seniors can age in place and residents can afford to stay in Seattle. It's our time to have a city council member who will listen and fight for our concerns. It's our time to have a city council member who shares our values and visions. It's our city, and we should have a say in the future of Seattle. I've been endorsed by the National Women's Political Caucus and the King County Young Dems. Together, we can make Seattle a place for all of us. This is our turn, our time, our city. My name is Amy Nguyen, and I'm running for Seattle City Council District 3.
I'm Sean Scott, and I'm running for Seattle City Council District 4. The question before us in this election cycle is whether we want to be a city of compassion or a city of cruelty. A compassionate city is one that builds enough deeply affordable housing for those already here and for those on the way. A compassionate city is one with a fair tax code, where working people, renters, and homeowners don't shoulder a disproportionate share of our tax burden with regressive sales and property taxes. It's a city where every Seattleite can enjoy public parks, free public transit, and mental health and supportive housing services. As a former journalist and editor of Real Change News and a field organizer for Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal's 2018 re-election campaign, I've worked almost my entire life towards studying and organizing for policies that make Seattle a more compassionate city. I've been endorsed in this race by Carrie Moon, the Washington State High School Democrats, and the Sierra Club because of my commitment to creating a more compassionate city. Some forces in this city would turn us into a cruel city, a city that wastes $10 million a year on ineffective sweeps of the homeless, that displaces Seattle homeowners and only builds housing for the richest among us, a city with no treatment centers and no investment in social services for working families like childcare. I think that we can do better. I think that we can have a compassionate city. As a Seattle City Council member representing District 4, I'll work towards building a compassionate city. And in the August primary election, I'm asking for your vote to help build that city. Thank you.
Greetings, voters. My name's Beth MOUNTSIER. I have ideas about how to improve and make Seattle better, including the thorniest issues facing our communities. I'm running because I have a passion for working on these issues and a wealth of experience working with our communities and elected officials for 28 years at King County and Redmond, and I want to do more. I've been at the table when we've been building a booming economy, coordinated transportation, and infrastructure for climate change. My training and working under these conditions and obstacles, and then finding the most elegant solution with others within a budget is my specialty. Some of you are reeling from what seems like impossible problems, a lack of affordable housing, health, and humanitarian crisis of homelessness. There's a fear the future won't be as bright for new Seattleites. But we can share a vision, take actions, and ensure this city celebrates and houses everyone. I'm a pragmatic policy wonk, a collaborator. I've worked on solutions at the elected level and out in my community. One of my proudest accomplishments was working with Councilmember Bob Ferguson to develop and champion the Veterans and Human Services Levy in 2005. It provides housing, mental health services, and upstream investments in youth and families to avoid problems later. And it's helping seniors also. I have a reputation as an honest broker going back to the 80s, when I secured an agreement to replace housing units that the convention center wanted to tear down. I'm also out in our neighborhoods working with you and volunteering every day. I've worked for better housing, access to music programs, helping young adults find a foothold and future here. Currently, I'm board chair at University Heights. Issues have answers, and I'm confident that Seattle's innovators, entrepreneurs, and pioneering families can lead the West Coast, if not the nation, out of these challenges. Seattle neighbors are generous, compassionate, but want tools and actions that lead to solutions. I get that. I'll make that happen. Find out more about me and my priorities at my website. I invite you to vote for an experienced leader. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Emily Myers. I'm running for Seattle City Council in District 4. I'm a Parkinson's researcher at the University of Washington and an executive board member in my union of over 5,000 academic student employees, UAW 4121. I'm also a renter in the U District. I'm running for City Council because we need a leader who will use data and facts to make decisions and deliver results. I'm a scientist. It's what I do. I have a plan to make childcare more affordable for all families by making it easier for people to open high-quality childcare centers, getting big business to chip in and help working families, and by supporting childcare workers to get the training they need. I have a plan to reduce homelessness in our region and protect the health and safety of all people in Seattle. I will focus our city's spending on evidence-based policies that are both humane, cost-effective, and preserve the dignity of people experiencing homelessness. I have a plan to make neighborhoods more inclusive to people of all incomes and increase housing affordability. We must allow housing options like duplexes and triplexes citywide. And we must build public housing with progressive revenue raised by asking big businesses with enough money to pay their CEOs $1 million a year to pay their fair share so that workers can live in this city. I have a plan to make Seattle resilient to our changing climate and truly be a climate leader. Let's complete our transit plans that focus on reducing carbon emissions, improve east-west bus routes, and build green infrastructure to connect our neighborhoods. Let's make green leases the standard and create new, climate-friendly, living wage jobs for Seattleites. Whether we're facing down a climate crisis, a homelessness crisis, or housing and childcare affordability crisis, I'm the scientist and leader with the data and the solutions to get things done. Vote for Emily Myers on August 6th.
Hi, I'm Alex Peterson and I'm running for City Council to bring accountability to our city government. Many people have lost faith in City Council because of politicians who don't listen. I will listen to the communities in our district and I will deliver results for your priorities. We should be seeing better results on homelessness. I will use my experience to fund only the best strategies proven to reduce homelessness in other cities. I will maximize mental health and drug addiction programs to achieve real results on this regional crisis. Compassion requires results. To increase public safety, City Council needs to support our police officers and hold the criminal justice system accountable. Our city's traffic and roads are a mess. City Council must wisely invest your tax dollars to move the most people by repairing roads, maximizing transit, and improving sidewalks. After earning a master's degree in government, I worked at the Department of Housing and Urban Development during the Clinton administration to reduce homelessness. My career includes 15 years in the private sector preserving affordable housing. When I worked as an analyst for the City Council, I crafted legislation creating the nationally acclaimed Seattle Preschool Program, and I led efforts to fully fund the Nurse Family Partnership that empowers low-income moms and their babies. As a progressive Democrat focused on results, I'm proud to be endorsed by former King County Executive Ron Sims, Tim Burgess, Nick Licata, Ruth Kagi, Daniel J. Evans, State Rep. Jerry Paulette, Port Commissioner Peter Steinbrook, the 46th Legislative District Democrats, and by neighborhood businesses. I'm Alex Peterson, and I would be honored to earn your vote.
My name is Kathy Tuttle. I'd like your vote for Seattle City Council Position 4. I've got the skills and experience our City Council needs now. I've raised a family in Seattle, and I've worked for the city. I have a PhD in city planning and a master's degree in anthropology from the University of Washington. I was executive director of Seattle Nonprofits. In the past few months, I've knocked on thousands of your doors. What I hear is this: if you are older like me, you want to age in place. If you are young and just starting out in Seattle, like my 2 adult children, you worry about being priced out. You tell me you are disappointed in Seattle's response to homelessness and affordable housing. You worry about paying property taxes, and you are concerned about climate change. These are complex problems where I will listen to you. That's why I'm running, to listen to you carefully and then to take action. But don't just take my word for it. The stranger said it best. Tuttle is action-oriented. With a background on Seattle's Planning Commission and in the Parks and Recreation Department, she knows the ins and outs of the system, and most importantly, how to get stuff built. As your district council member, I promise to have a local office with a full-time staff member so you can swing by to talk about local issues. I've been endorsed by the 46th District Democrats, Council members Richard Conlon and Tom Rasmussen, by community leaders Ed Lazowska, Alan Durning, Heather Trim, Jerry Large, Inga Manskopf, Jake Weber, and many other people I've worked with in my decades in Seattle. I know how to move forward with complex projects for people on time, on budget, and in ways that will make District 4 and Seattle stronger. Thank you for listening to me. Please remember to vote for Kathy Tuttle for Seattle City Council District 4. I promise to do my best for you.
Hi, Seattle. I'm Frank Krueger, and I'm running for City Council in District 4. I'm a small business owner, engineer, and renter in Wallingford, and I want to use my skills and experience to make sure Seattle is a livable city for everyone. We have a growing population of homeless people, some by choice, but many because the city has failed them. Fixing this will be a process that takes time, money, and votes. We can work to prevent homelessness with outreach and treatment centers, and we can reduce the number of people living on the street with low-barrier shelters and a housing-first policy. We can keep people from cycling back into homelessness through long-term, personalized care and treatment. To do that, I want to partner with state and business allies alike to fund a BOLD plan, 1,000 new social workers to address addiction, mental health, and other barriers to stability. I am pro-income tax to pay for ambitious social programs like this, but that's going to take time. In the short term, I support thoughtfully crafted taxes on large businesses and streamlining partnerships with private companies that want to be a part of our community and not just take advantage of it. With increased population and demand on public infrastructure, we need to acknowledge that both single occupancy vehicles and single-family zoning are not priorities anymore. Let's open our neighborhoods to everyone with new housing and more transit. Seattle's access to renewable energy enables us to be a shining example of a green city. Let's welcome protected bike and electric device lanes and green public transportation. We have the resources and the responsibility to create a climate-conscious city. The engineer in me knows how to find solutions when none seem in sight. The businessman in me knows how to make compromises and come to consensus to make progress. Elect me, Frank Krueger, and I will work tirelessly to improve this city for you. Thank you.
My name is Ethan Hunter. I am running for City Council in District 4, and I am often asked, why am I here? I'm here because Seattle lacks a clear, moral voice, calling attention to the issues that threaten our future. I am here because we need safe schools where we teach reading and writing, not duck and cover. I am here because suicide rates among 15 to 24-year-olds are at their highest level since 2000 and action is required. I am here to speak for our most vulnerable so they have access to services that have been stripped away. I am here to support salaries that draw exceptional civil servants. I am here to fight the landslide of unsheltered, a problem which has increased by 46% since 2017. I am here for families like mine, devastated by an opioid crisis that has spiked 70% in our area since 2018. And I am here, for it is time to make uncomfortable decisions about things like the environment, so that we can look back with pride in the 2050s at what we did in the 2020s. So when those running the city and for council want the issues to be places and things instead of people, it is up to us to stand up, speak up, and say, this is not right. That is why I am here. And I do this even though others may take special interest money, which I will not, even though I am young and most have more experiences, and even though I am the only working class candidate running. But the battles we must tackle are generational. The battles we must tackle will not be solved easily or in a few years, but we are in the battle of our lives. And because of that, it is time for the next generation to take the helm in Seattle, as is happening nationwide. Thank you, and I look forward to serving you on City Council.
Hi, D4. My name is Sasha Anderson, and I hope to earn your vote so we can work together to make our city more affordable, inclusive, and climate conscious. So I was 8 years old the first time I heard the term trailer trash. Walking to school, I overheard a few classmates say that people who lived in trailers were lazy and worthless, and I was so hurt and confused because their words didn't match my reality. My family lived in a trailer, but my mom is a nurse and dad a construction worker, and we worked hard for everything we had. Around this time, I also started realizing that I liked girls, not just because they were smart and funny, but I also found them physically attractive. So here I am, 8 years old, realizing I'm poor and gay, and now I knew how poor people were viewed thanks to my classmates, but not how gay people were looked at. So I started looking and listening, and it turned out gay folks were disliked as much as the poor. Not only that, so were people of color and immigrants, and that was just the tip of the iceberg. And then something happened that made me into the person I am today. My third grade self realized that other people who were different like I was had also overheard similar conversations and were just as hurt and confused as I had been. Immediately, my feelings turned to anger and indignation, and I made a vow that I would always work hard to even the playing field and fight for people who were being hurt and left behind simply for who they were. And that's what I've done. I became the first person in my family to graduate from college, working my way through school to supplement grants and loans. I've continued working 2 and sometimes 3 jobs to make ends meet because I've dedicated myself to public service with the Peace Corps and nonprofits such as Earth Share of Washington and Big Brothers Big Sisters. I made sure I got my master's degrees in sustainable development and consensus building. All of this I've done in order to gain the skills and experience needed so that I can get a bigger platform and help more people. That's what being on Seattle City Council means to me, working hard for all of us. And I hope to earn your vote on August 6th to make our city more affordable, climate conscious, and inclusive.
Hi, my name is Joshua Newman. I live in Ravenna with my wife and our 4 kids. I've been a lifeguard, a preschool teacher, and for the last 13 years, an engineer and union member of IFPTE 2001 at Boeing. I've coached my son's baseball teams, served on the board of my synagogue, and I've been the president of both the Maple Leaf Community Council and Seattle Subway. I'm a policy wonk, and I dig deep into the data. But when we get stuck fighting over this rule or that street, we aren't talking about the big picture. We aren't talking about the fear and uncertainty we feel for the future. Our parents and grandparents were confident that our lives would be better than theirs. How many of us feel that way for our children and grandchildren? It's not clear what will become of the city we love, or if our children will have a place here. Seattle has grown by over 167,000 people in the last 20 years. Climate change is already here. If Seattle is to thrive in our uncertain future, we need leadership who can turn that uncertainty into opportunity. We can do this by staying true to our progressive values and letting some pieces of Seattle evolve. Our future needs to be different from the past in 3 critical ways. First, cars are not our future, and we need to make it easy for most people to get around without them. Second, we have to build more homes of more shapes and more sizes so people can find a home that fits their needs, and so our most vulnerable neighbors don't end up on the streets. And third, we need to build enough renewable energy in the next 10 years to match and replace all of our fossil fuel needs. We can do this together. If we are brave, we can manage these challenges and plan for the future. We can give our children and grandchildren lives that will be better than our own.
My name is Heidi Stuber, and I'm running for Seattle City Council District 4 because I believe in a better future for our city. I've lived in Seattle for 16 years, in District 4 for 7 years, with homes both in Wallingford and Ravenna, and I raised my son here. I am proud to live in a city where we share many liberal values. But lately, I've become increasingly concerned that City Council is disconnected from the needs of everyday Seattleites. This is a beautiful, well-resourced city with people moving here from all over the world. And I look around and think, we have to be able to do better than this. We need a new kind of leader in Seattle, someone who will take action to solve the big problems facing our city, like homelessness, affordability, transportation, and climate change. And someone who is capable of taking a big picture strategic approach to ensure we are creating a more livable, affordable, sustainable city right now and for the next generation. I started my career as an environmental science teacher in inner city Chicago. I earned my MBA at Seattle University, and I've spent more than a dozen years specializing in organizational change, both in local small businesses and at places like Woodland Park Zoo and North Seattle College. I'm also an outspoken and effective advocate for education rights, autism, and have worked tirelessly to protect special education students, small businesses, and women in the workplace. Seattle needs a leader who will get results. I bring a deep personal history with advocacy combined with the working experience and leadership style that means I know how to get things done. I'm running to bring balanced, common sense solutions to City Hall and to speak for families, small businesses, and regular Seattleites just like you. Help me change Seattle for the better. I hope I can count on your vote August 6th. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Deborah Juarez, and I'm on the Seattle City Council. I represent the city, but I honor the needs of my district, our district, District 5. I have lived in the North End for over 30 years as a renter and as a homeowner. It's where I raised my children. I'm running for re-election for 3 reasons. I want to keep listening to the needs of our city and D5. I want to continue to deliver the projects and programs that support our city and make it great. And I want to finish the work we've started. I've been a lawyer for 33 years. I've worked as a public defender, legal services, a King County Superior Court judge. I represented 2 governors and many tribal governments. I know how to get things done, and I know how to build things. Let me share what we've done. We have a new $1.6 billion world-class arena at Seattle Center at no cost to the taxpayers. We've raised $18 million for our new Lake City Community Center that will serve elders and kids. And we secured a new NHL training facility and headquarters located at Northgate in D5 for jobs and opportunities. And we are fully funding the pedestrian bike bridge that will connect Northgate Mall to North Seattle College. This is a game changer for walkability in D5. Homelessness is one of the biggest issues we face. That is why I have secured millions of dollars and directed these funds to nonprofits that address homelessness, addiction, and mental health. In addition, we are building 1,200 units of affordable housing in D5. And you all know how hard we fought to bring light rail to Northgate. Now we're bringing it to 130th Street Station. And we plan to bring that light rail station in 7 years earlier. On public safety, I voted to add 40 new police officers to our force, and I will continue to support a new police station in the North End. And sidewalks. I have delivered 12 new sidewalk projects in D5 last year, and we won't stop there. With that being said, I am fiercely optimistic about the future of our city in D5. It's been an honor to represent you on City Council, to be your councilwoman, and I humbly ask for your support and vote. Thank you.
Hi, I'm John Lombard, and I'm running for Seattle City Council from District 5. This may be the most important City Council election in a generation or more. Our city needs leadership that listens, that engages with communities, that acknowledges complexity but isn't paralyzed by it, and that isn't guided by ideology either. I've been a community and environmental leader in District 5 for 17 years. I'm the author of the book, Saving Puget Sound. I've worked for years with other community leaders across the district on crime, pedestrian safety, affordable housing, transit, and other issues. Homelessness is the dominant issue of this election. Our city is facing both a drug crisis and a housing crisis. It's the drug crisis, not the housing crisis, that's causing the biggest impacts on our neighborhoods, from property crime to needles, trash, and human waste in our public spaces. The most affected neighborhoods tend to be the less affluent ones. We need to show compassion to them as well as to the homeless. I understand this is complex. I've worked on these issues professionally as the liaison for homeless services to the mayor of St. Louis early in my career. As a community advocate, I've urged expansion of programs that offer case management and treatment as an alternative to the criminal justice system where appropriate, but it's not always appropriate. District 5 needs a council member who is directly engaged with and accessible to our communities, who is responsive to constituents, and who is a leader at the City Council on homelessness and other issues. We haven't had that. We've paid a price for it, and so has the city. It's time for a change. I'd be honored to receive your vote. Thank you.
Sieg Heil, Seattle Commie Nazi Fascist. Sieg Heil, Seattle Council and Mayor are fascist and clown, are crazy Nazi Gestapo garbage rats from Animal Farm. I am Alex Zimmerman, speak to you, Seattle Emerald degenerate super smart freaking idiot, with Nazi Socialist Democrat and anti-Semite principle. Clean dirty stupid council chamber from this clown, criminal and killer. This cannot go on forever. Stand up Seattle, stand up America. We the people need to elect intelligent, civilized businessmen who can bring Seattle back to normal life, who will stop the crook who suck blood and money from us and make us life miserable, who will have Q&A every month with the people in each district, who does not scared to talk to the people frankly and honestly, who is not a fascist, sexopath, or lunatic, who is American and respect and restore our Constitution, love, and freedom of speech, who is not scared to open Bertha Lady rooms in City Hall 1 day per week for citizen conversation and honest candidate forum for everybody. We need to stop Nazi Socialist Democrat mafia with progressive Gestapo principle which have brought Seattle to #1 fascist city in America in total collapse. Only pure idiot don't understand so one-party system is always fascism. We need to clean our government from dirty garbage rats who drink from fat Catholic. Stand up Seattle, stand up America. It's time for real changes.
Hi, my name is Mark Mendez. I'm running for Seattle City Council because residents of North Seattle are ready for a new vision for District 5 and accountability. I was born and raised in Seattle and have lived in District 5 in Lake City for 41 years. I'm a graduate of UW and Seattle University. I spent my life and career working on several local and global equity issues. My father was born in the U.S. territory of Puerto Rico, and my mom grew up in Lake City. My great-uncle, Joseph Mayer, created the most beautiful and historic Seattle street clocks found in downtown Seattle and all over the Pacific Northwest. I have deep roots in Seattle and deeply care about the city I grew up in. I have a record of getting things done by bringing together and partnering with a diverse group of people and organizations to address the biggest challenges in Seattle. I've worked for several nonprofit education and public organizations. I was co-chair of the North District Council, on the board of Lake City Neighborhood Alliance, and on the board of Meadowbrook Community Care. I want to bring the same model of success I've had working together with community groups and organizations and apply that model to all of District 5. Here's what I'm focused on: affordable housing and people experiencing homelessness, equity, bringing more resources to our underserved neighborhoods, youth, more leadership, civic participation, and career training programs, protecting our environment, and 5, transportation, expanding light rail and improving access and reliability of public transportation. I worked very closely with refugee and immigrant families across District 5. I've created and managed several youth programs to empower the next generation of leaders in District 5. And I've worked with community partners to create the Lake City Mural Project to empower youth, support local businesses, improve public safety, build community with public art. Together, we can make District 5 the best place to live, work, learn, and play. My name is Mark Mendez. Thank you.
Hello. 23 years ago, I came to this beautiful city. I was a single woman coming to make my future here, working for the Seattle Supersonics team. I've lived here as a single carless woman and as a parent of 2 kids. I've been a tenant, landlord, and homeowner. I've been an employee as well as a small business owner. I'm now a lawyer while raising my kids in District 5. I've also worked with the United Nations in a Cambodian refugee camp along the Thai-Cambodian border. But what's currently happening in our streets is far worse than the conditions in that camp. For as long as my 8- and 10-year-old could ask, I've been answering their difficult questions about what they see on the streets of their hometown. I've watched Seattle change throughout my children's lifetimes. The 2 defining factors have been a city council that fails to take meaningful action and unresponsive council members who leave unanswered questions, emails, and residents feeling like their voice doesn't matter. No more. That is why I've decided to run. We need a new Seattle City Council. We can and must do better for our city. We can see help directed to those in need on our streets by using emergency relief response. Instead of public camping, we can bring people off the streets and into FEMA-style shelter for needs assessment to get them help. We can imagine and have a litter-free city with green spaces that are open to everyone. We can enforce our laws, support first responders, and prioritize safety for the public. Instead of open-air drug use and drug injection sites, we can push for on-demand detox, shortening wait times for underfunded treatment programs so those struggling with addiction can get medicalized help and long-term rehabilitation. We can do this with the new Seattle City Council. I'll match my vision for our city with 3 pledges to you. I pledge to take the time to listen to you. I pledge to hear and understand your concerns. And I pledge to respond and act on those concerns. It's time to be serious about change in our city leadership, and that starts with the new City Council. This is a turning point for Seattle, and I'm ready and passionate about making these changes for the city we know and love. So let's do this together. I ask for your vote on August 6th.
Thank you for taking the time to research your potential City Council members. My name is Taylor Mahoney, and I am honored to be running for the District 5 Council position. I was born and raised in Seattle, and I love our city, but there are many things that need to be changed. First and foremost, we need a council that listens to its electorate and responds with decisive action, transparency, and accountability. Every citizen who speaks out deserves a council that will respectfully and actively listen to them. We also need a police force that is empowered to protect our safety. We can reduce lawlessness and addiction in our city by increasing prosecution of property crimes and illegal drugs. In our well-intentioned efforts to show compassion, we have gone to the point of leniency and enabling. Growing and retaining our police force to provide rapid response will only be possible when the city stands behind our law enforcement officials. We need housing that is affordable to average citizens. We need to shelter and treat our most vulnerable populations with effective evidence-based policies that decrease recidivism while protecting taxpayers. I think interagency cooperation is critical. I will ensure an ongoing coalition between the City Council, law enforcement, and social service providers to develop holistic strategies that combat the cycle of homelessness. Interagency cooperation will streamline services and cut costs. I believe our local government is here to provide protection, infrastructure, and honor the requests of its constituents. I'm running to restore Seattle to its full potential, to fight for our District 5 community and the city as a whole, to advocate for greater public safety, more affordable housing, effective responses to homelessness, and better transportation. In short, I'm running for more of what works and less of what doesn't.
Hello, my name is Joey Massa, and I am running for Seattle City Council as an independent progressive. Throughout my campaign, I'm often asked what progressive means to me. American progressivism is rooted in the belief that government should function as a living body, adapting to the needs of its people. And I know that my neighbors join me in my commitment to addressing our city's most critical issues, which are summed up in my platform focused on public health and safety, transportation, and crafting a truly progressive plan for our city. My work in public safety will begin by establishing a baseline of shelter and facilities for our unhoused neighbors. In addition to providing access to basic human necessities such as restrooms and security, we will finally gauge the true scope of our homelessness crisis. Improving our city's transportation will start by working with regional partners to expand our vital network of varied and functional transit systems. I want to grow transit options that work and are demonstrably cost-effective, such as adding Ballard and Lake Washington routes to our water taxi system. Finally, American progressivism is what ties my platform together, and to that end, I will work to protect your rights to privacy regarding facial recognition and other mass data gathering. Ensure our residents' rights to fair wages and benefits, and while establishing a forward-looking plan to shore up our city's infrastructure, my commitment to reducing Seattle's environmental impact will be paramount in every decision made. We have no room to regress. Thank you so much for your time. Again, I'm Joey Massa, running for City Council in Seattle's 6th District.
Hello, my name is Sergio Garcia. I'm a police officer in Seattle, and I live in Finney Ridge in a rental home with my wife Maria and Boston Terrier Batman. I'm a first-generation American, son of a carpenter and a housemaid, who both migrated to this country seeking a better life for their family. After watching my parents struggle, holding on to multiple jobs, and knowing there were millions of others like them, I knew I wanted to help and give back to my community. At the age of 21, I became a police officer in South Florida, and after over a decade of dedicated public service and endless miles of traveling the world, I had stumbled upon a huge problem. I visited and fell in love with a city by the name of Seattle. I knew right away that I'd move here and would raise a family in this enchanting utopia who welcomes all, regardless of their gender, race, religious beliefs, physical limitations, nationality, sexual orientation, or identification. So I did. I moved here and began working in the neighborhoods of Ballard and Fremont. I immediately made it my mission to get out and walk the footbeat in order to get to know everyone in the neighborhood. I was able to build relationships and gain the trust from all those living, working, and enjoying life in our district, to those less fortunate sleeping on our streets, dealing with issues such as mental illness, displacement, and drug addiction. It didn't take long for me to become frustrated with the lack of affordability, traffic congestion, our fragile state of public safety, the homelessness crisis, and seeing all the suffering due to the various injustices this growing city is experiencing. I knew I wanted to do more. I knew that with my boots on the ground experience and perspective, I'd be able to provide a more practical, accountable, and humane approach to addressing said issues. You all trust me during your most vulnerable moments in the intimacy of your homes with my ability to find reasonable and practical solutions to your problems. I'm optimistic that come election day, you will also trust in me to do the same for Seattle, and doing so while giving a voice back to the people in our district. Remember, everyday problems get solved by everyday people.
I'm Heidi Wills. I'm running for District 6 residents and small businesses who want safe neighborhoods, for seniors who built Seattle and are being priced out of their homes, and for children who deserve clean parks and open community centers. My family's lived in the district for 16 years. As a small business owner and a nonprofit director, I have the right experience to take on our biggest challenges. I have a proven track record of results. I was on the City Council 20 years ago when I expanded energy rate assistance so more low-income people could qualify. I led investments in renewable energy. I worked to expand transit and provide more affordable housing and human services. Our city needs to be smarter about addressing the root causes of homelessness. Seattle can't solve this crisis in a silo. We need a collaborative regional approach to provide services, especially mental health and treatment on demand. We need short-term housing solutions like modular homes and long-term solutions like permanent supportive housing. We need to focus on basic services, the humble acts of local government that directly impact our quality of life. Public safety is a priority. Our police department is small compared with cities our size. We need to address vacancies stretching the department too thin, a lack of diversion programs, and prosecution of repeat offenders. We need more transit service and safe pedestrian bicycle infrastructure. Seattle must take bold action on climate protection to reduce our carbon footprint. We need more affordable housing of all shapes and sizes for people of all incomes, so teachers, nurses, and firefighters who contribute so much to our city can afford to live close to where they work. My name is Heidi Wills, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Terry Rice, and I'm running for Seattle City Council in District 6. I'm running as the true progressive in this race. We need to take bold steps and think long-term in order to solve our city's toughest problems. I'm talking about doing the hard work of tackling the root causes of our most intractable problems. Problems like reducing the number of people experiencing homelessness, creating more low and mid-income housing, strengthening and investing in mass transit, and addressing climate change in a meaningful way at the local level. It is not possible to solve the homelessness crisis without addressing housing affordability, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a lot we can do to bring people inside right now. First, we can invest in more programs that we know already work, like upstream diversion. This means that if a family or an individual is about to become homeless because of a broken car or a sick child, we step in and give them a rent or transportation voucher. This $600 or $900 is often enough to keep a family in a home that they have, which is the right thing to do, and it's the fiscally responsible thing to do. The city needs to build more low-income housing. This is a long-term plan, and without doing the hard political work of building more low-income housing, we will not exit the homelessness crisis. Some of this publicly financed low-income housing needs to be built specifically for people who have severe and chronic mental illness and/or severe and chronic drug addiction. If we want people who are facing these hardships off of the street, then we must give them a place to go. Arresting them won't work. This is also the morally right thing to do and the fiscally responsible choice. We need to expedite and expand light rail, connect our bike lanes, make Metro the easy choice for people. Gridlock will be reduced by improving access to and investing in mass transit. The biggest threat facing our city and every other city is climate change. We need bold action, and we need it right now. If elected to the City Council, I will push for the wholesale adoption of Portland's 174-point climate action plan. If we ramp up our investments in reducing emissions today, we can get to zero emissions by 2050. If you want a pragmatic progressive on the City Council, vote for me, Terry Rice. Thank you.
My name is John Lisbon, and I'm running for Seattle City Council District 6 to empower our neighborhoods, engage all voices, and bring accountability back to council. On the campaign trail, I've heard repeatedly that residents do not feel as though their current City Council hears their concerns. If elected, I'll bring thoughtful, pragmatic solutions to tackle the growth-related issues facing Seattle today. Our city is expanding rapidly, yet the City Council is not managing this growth in a balanced way. That's why I co-founded Seattle Fair Growth, whose mission is to maintain Seattle's livability during this time of rapid growth. I'm the only candidate in the race who has worked to appeal the MHA and called for the City Council to include the unique needs of each neighborhood development plans. Housing developers must pay to offset the costs of infrastructure, parks, and roads. Seattle residents deserve a voice in shaping the changes to their communities, and policies must ensure Seattle is livable for all. The city's response to homelessness hasn't worked. People shouldn't be living in the streets, especially when Seattle's economy is booming as never before. As an entrepreneur and former small business owner, I understand that investments now will save money later. We need proven solutions for homelessness like the Housing First model and disrupting the cycle of homelessness before it starts through rental vouchers, transitional housing, job training, and domestic violence support programs. Every day we see the evidence that what the council is doing isn't working. The time for action is now, and I'm prepared to roll up my sleeves and get to work. My name is John Lisbon, and I would be honored to earn your vote for Seattle City Council District 6.
Hi, I'm Kara, the Citizens candidate. I'm not a professional politician. I'm a tax-paying homeowner in North Seattle. I'm asking for your vote. I have lots of relevant experience, some that no other candidate has, as a sort of citizen on the ground for decades in the grassroots. I've been active for 40 years, since 3 Mile Island, through the Great Peace March, the first Iraq War, pesticide spraying, the first International Earth Summit, and the LA riots, all when living in California. But 26 years ago, I became a Seattleite, worked on Hanford issues and fundraising for campaigns like Jerry Brown's We the People and Washburn. I was recruited to run for state leg in 2000 as a Green, and later was elected the chair of the state Green Party. After a few years as a Green, I became a total independent. I am not beholden to any group or interest. I want to serve the people. My husband and I owned a small business, not a number cards and gifts, and in 2005 I was elected to the Wallingford Chamber of Commerce. As a 5-year president and director, I got the city to listen more. I formed collaborations with community groups, brought in the farmers market, and co-wrote an editorial for the Seattle Times urging a healthcare plan for businesses related to what would become Obamacare. I bring disparate, disjointed sides together, and that's especially urgent now. Nationally and locally, we're growing apart. I believe in our founders' desire to seek a more middle ground and work together, but this is probably time for overcompensation to right the ship. We have too many urgent issues, not enough action, and that's why I jumped in. I can't stand reinventing the wheel, and money must be spent more wisely. All people must be considered, not just developers. Our city council has done some good, but more must be done. I ask questions and I'm not afraid to dissent. Let's hold the city accountable and end the Seattle process of talking. We need more action. Vote for me, Cara Ciriello, District 6.
My name is Dan Strauss, and I was born and raised in Ballard. I'm running because I love this community, and I know that together we can guide Seattle's growth to build a sustainable, affordable, and equitable city that works for everyone, whether you've been here for 1 year or 40. I've dedicated my life to public service. I served with AmeriCorps in low-income communities all across the nation, working on projects from disaster relief to after-school programs. I have nearly a decade of legislative experience, and I know how to make change happen. My everyday job is to bring different levels of government, community, organizations, and people together to solve problems. I've already coordinated work groups with the state, county, city, port, sound transit, and community to successfully fund transportation projects, develop green building codes, and improve our parks. As your next council member, I'll use my experience to serve you. I worked on gun responsibility policy, passing the Extreme Risk Protection Order, and on City Council, I'll continue to implement gun violence prevention by investing in community-based programs that intervene in the cycle of violence. I'll tackle the homelessness crisis head-on by advocating for housing first policies that bring people experiencing homelessness into four walls with a door that locks and is connected to the services and care they need. I'll build a connected transit network with dedicated lanes so that buses aren't stuck in traffic, and I'll work to complete our bicycle master plan with protected bike lanes. I was hit by a driver while riding my bike, and I know the importance of safe and separated infrastructure. I'm committed to opening a district office so that you don't have to go downtown to have your voice heard. I'll prioritize constituent services so that if you get stuck in the bureaucratic gridlock, my office will be there to help you through it, to get you solutions, because I've got your back. I have deep roots in our community, and I'm endorsed by community leaders, labor unions, local democratic organizations, and current and former elected officials. I ask for your support and for your vote. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ed Pottert, and I'm running for Seattle City Council District 6. I speak a little differently because of a lifelong hearing loss. I hope that you'll lean in a bit to hear what I have to say. I have worked for the City of Seattle for over 30 years. Through my work with Seattle City Light, neighborhoods, and parks and recreation, I know how to get city departments to collaborate with residents, businesses, and community groups to get action taken and projects accomplished. I know how to help people navigate their way through the maze that city government sometimes can be. With my leadership, we are going to move city departments into action now on the urgent issues of affordable housing, homelessness, transportation, growth, and climate change. Developing local community partnerships is the most immediate and efficient means of addressing affordable housing and homelessness. Providing sustained funding to local community teams of mental and behavioral outreach workers and community members, especially in neighborhood business districts, is what we need in partnership with people who are homeless to help them find housing, education, and living wage jobs. Seattle is growing and becoming more dense. Additional public services and amenities are required. Development impact fees are long overdue in Seattle and would help pay for them. Climate change is the defining issue of our time. The urgency is now. A road use payment system with equity as a priority would lessen traffic congestion, improve air quality, reduce carbon emissions, and encourage people to use transit, ride-sharing, and bicycles. Incentives for on-site solar electrical generation and energy storage in commercial and residential buildings would also reduce greenhouse gas emissions. I welcome your thoughts and ideas on how to address the challenges and opportunities ahead for District 6 and our city. I would be honored to have your vote and the opportunity to serve you as your Seattle City Council member.
Hello, I'm Jay Fathy. I was raised in North Seattle by a single mom who worked hard to find both affordable rent and family wage employment. My dad was an immigrant from Iran, when America welcomed those who sought freedom and opportunity. These are the values my wife Joelle and I are instilling in our two sons. As a doctor who has been dedicated to community health in Seattle for nearly 3 decades, I'm the only candidate who has provided care to low-income, homeless, and vulnerable populations in our city, and expanded affordable health care to serve thousands across our state. That unique experience is critical to tackling the public health crisis on our streets. There are no easy solutions, but inaction while unsheltered people and our quality of life suffer is inexcusable. Serving our community as a family physician, I've also learned to first listen when solving problems. I'll bring that same approach to the council. Seattle is a wonderful city with a progressive commitment to equity and innovation, but too often our council doesn't seem to listen. In particular, the disconnect between City Hall and the problems of neighborhood crime must end. Everyone deserves to feel safe in our city. I've also volunteered in our schools and served as medical director at the Ballard High School Health Clinic. As a proud Seattle public school graduate with my own 2 sons in public schools, I will advocate for our students and educators. I believe that Seattle's growth is both energizing and marginalizing, forcing young families and seniors out of our neighborhoods. I'll target growth along new transit and urban centers, build affordable-sized family homes, and help seniors and fixed-income households. It's time for new, experienced voices on our council to address our complex challenges with a focus on the needs of our neighborhoods. I am honored to have the endorsements of SEIU Healthcare 1199 and 775, UFCW 21, and former Mayor Tim Burgess. But the support that means the most to me is from my neighbors across the district. I would be honored to earn your vote.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Cook, and I'm running for Seattle City Council because we need people on the council who will address the city's problems with straightforward solutions. The biggest issue we face right now is the number of people who are openly using heroin and methamphetamines. They freely discard their needles in trash as well as defecate on the streets, sidewalks, and other public areas. These people are also committing thefts, muggings, and assaults to pay for their drugs. We need to tackle this problem head on. People who are caught with small amounts of meth or heroin should be offered treatment the first time. If they decline treatment, they should be arrested and forced into long-term correctional programs that are outcome-driven. These programs have proven to work in other areas, reduce recidivism as well as addiction, and in the long run save taxpayers money. This would also discourage others from coming here to freely use drugs and victimize people. Many of these people are not from Seattle. We also need to find ways to more intelligently use taxpayers' money and work within the city's $6 billion budget. Just because it's an expensive idea doesn't mean it's a good one. We don't need a $400 million police precinct or a $285 million streetcar that only runs for 2 miles. I would also like to repeal some of the city's most regressive taxes, including the bag tax, sugar tax, and ammo tax. We need to get Seattle moving again by reprogramming the city's streetlights for speed and efficiency rather than purposely slowing them down to appease bicyclists who account for a very small percentage of commuters. We should also consider more yellow left turn caution lights and look at other ways to reduce people's commute times. For more information, please visit my website, cookforcouncil.com. Thanks for watching, and I would appreciate your vote in the upcoming election.
Hi, my name's Melissa Hall. I live in Fremont with my wife and daughter, and I'm a candidate for District 6 on the Seattle City Council. I've always wanted to make cities better environments for people. During undergraduate, I studied geography, and after that I went on to law school where I focused on land use and state and local government law. I've worked to stop the sewers under Birmingham, Alabama from leaking. I've been part of Florida's emergency management team, and I've traveled to small towns in Virginia to enforce floodplain development standards. Most of my career has been in state and local government because that's where government has the most direct impact on people's lives. I'm running because I believe in Seattle, the place where my wife and I moved because here it felt safe enough for us to have a child together. But we can't be that sanctuary for others if people can't afford to live here. We need to build more housing and more affordable housing to be sure everyone has a stable, safe place to call home. We're going to need to do more housing with less land and make our neighborhoods and urban centers more dense. When we build dense enough, a big city becomes a group of small towns that all happen to be next to each other. To get there, we have to ramp up density, transportation, and services together. Cities are also places where people move, so our transit and roadways need to account for the needs of all of the users. We need efficient information services, so I support municipal broadband internet. We're also people who want to find a way to care for all of our neighbors. I support policies and programs that respect the autonomy and agency of our neighbors who are experiencing homelessness and prioritize harm reduction. We also need eviction reform and more support for pre-eviction diversion programs so that people with housing have a better chance of keeping it. Most importantly, it's my belief that cities that care for their residents best are cities that plan with, not for, their citizens. As Commissioner, I will not pass any legislation that affects marginalized communities without the direct feedback of those communities. Thank you.
Out on the campaign trail, people share their frustrations, and I assure them that I represent the change we need to see on the Council. Political ideologies that prolong the misery of the unsheltered are cruel. Ignoring the consequences that communities are facing is unacceptable. How is it that our city budget has gone from $4 billion to $6 billion while basic services go unprovided? We're 600 cops short of a full force. Our infrastructure crumbles because we don't budget for maintenance. A rail fetish busts the bank while we lack sidewalks and adequate bus service. I'm a small d Democrat, conservative progressive, and designer and planner with plenty of problem-solving experience. I've been involved in neighborhood, citywide, and school district issues for decades. I have a passion for public policy and a deep understanding of the issues. I know that owning the house you live in and the land you do business on is the answer, not the enemy. City Hall's plan for growth that displaces everyone that's already here is ridiculous. Their determination to set the table for global investors so that we're what's for dinner is corrupt. The city lavishes upon themselves the kind of benefits the rest of us would like to enjoy. We could open the City of Seattle's self-insured health care pool up to anyone living or working in Seattle who wants to buy in. This would benefit residents, workers, and small businesses tremendously while costing the city nothing. And there are so many more ways we can move into being a city for the future, a city that has the back of its residents and small businesses, not special interests. My name is Kate Martin. I seek your support so that I may represent District 6 on the Council. Your democracy vouchers, volunteer efforts, and vote will assure my victory. Please visit putkateonthecouncil.org for more information.
I'm James Donaldson. I'm worried about my beloved Seattle, where one bad decision after another have hurt our quality of life, our communities, our businesses, and our future. Seattle isn't dying, but it's sick. 1% of Seattle residents are homeless, and we have an enormous drug crisis. City policies have only made things worse. I promise healing. I promise a return to greatness. I've learned a few things, and I'm not afraid to use my own personal, deeply painful experiences and apply my life lessons to helping people who are unable or unwilling to help themselves. I came to Seattle 40 years ago, starting a 20-year pro basketball career with the Sonics. Midway through, I became a small business owner of several physical therapy clinics, healing bodies and helping people to return to normal lives. After a health crisis, I became a passionate advocate for mental health and suicide prevention. I've been there. I know the level of support it takes to not give up. When they are ill, people can't make the best decisions on their own. I promise you that we will improve public safety. I promise you that we will protect and expand public parks. I promise you that we will protect business districts and jobs. I promise to build new bridges accessible to all modes of transportation. I promise to make Seattle more livable and accommodating to seniors and people with disabilities. I promise to listen to our residents when they come to City Hall. And I promise to be out there in the community and learn and listen to you every day. My life has involved teamwork, practice, dedication, and winning. I've been in Seattle for 40 years, and I've seen her promise. I stand before you, and I promise you that when we do this together, we will heal this city. I ask for your vote, James Donaldson.
Hi, I'm Gene Burris, and I'm running to be your council member for the 7th District of Seattle. I'm an attorney who has lived downtown for about a decade now. I never thought that I would get involved in city politics, but city politics got involved in me. For years, living downtown and being told by city leadership that crime and drugs are just a fact of life that we must accept. And last summer, when with unvarnished contempt for voters and residents, the City Council imposed an undemocratic and fiscally irresponsible waterfront lid on my neighbors. If elected, I will support law enforcement as they restore safety to our streets. I will responsibly address the homeless crisis by getting help and shelter to those who need it and seek it. And for those who refuse, our streets, parks, and open spaces will no longer be an option. Finally, I will bring common sense to the city budget, which means prioritizing funding for essential projects like the Magnolia Bridge, while canceling irresponsible boondoggles like the First Avenue streetcar. I'm Gene Burris, and I will bring the change that Seattle needs to the City Council. I would be honored to have your vote.
The Seattle City Council no longer cares for the families in our city. Our well-being, safety, and concerns have been relegated to politics and waste. The lack of attention to our neighbors, friends, and family members can no longer continue to be the norm. I'm a 30-year member of the Magnolia community, a family business owner, and mother to 4 wonderful boys. While managing my family business, I began over 7 years ago as an advocate for change, demanding attention to rampant drug usage outside our business at Fisherman's Terminal. After calling the authorities and being told there was nothing they could do, I took action by getting it on the evening news. Things changed and then returned to more of the same. Things can no longer stay the same. Homelessness. The success of our homeless population should be a priority. I will work for solutions that are effective and compassionate, enabling people towards their goals and connecting them with the services needed. We need to ensure housing and access to proper services and treatment. An open and transparent government. No more backroom deals and a lack of transparency. The City Council is meant to work for you. I will work towards legislation that creates a culture of transparency, ensuring that all city contracts and requests for proposals are published online for you to see. Maintaining family neighborhoods. We need adequate green space and parking. We cannot forget Seattle families despite the speed of our city's growth. I am committed to helping improve factors that contribute to traffic issues resulting in loss of time at work and with your loved ones. We need to supply mixed income housing in all neighborhoods, ensuring we do not further segregate them. We spent $230 million on a trolley that doesn't fit. Meanwhile, our law enforcement are under-equipped and ill-utilized. My first 30 days will be to have an independent audit of our City Council and address our homeless crisis. I am a UW graduate and lifelong Magnolia community member that is committed to civic action and community engagement. My mother taught Spanish at the local Catholic schools, and I currently reside with my husband and 4 young boys in Magnolia.
Hello, I'm Isabel J. Kerner. If you want to know why I'm running for City Council, I could give you a list of different reasons or explain how one event led to the other. But in the end, it all comes down to passion. If you haven't already noticed, Seattle has a camping crisis. The solution I am proposing is quite simple. It is called the cargo container solution. With 23 plots of vacant city-owned land, 575 cargo containers, and $40 million, we could house and provide on-site services for up to 10,000 individuals within 18 months. When the navigation team sweeps unsanctioned camps, every individual will take a drug test and complete a questionnaire containing information on their personal background and work history. This will allow Seattle to create a database to determine which of the 23 sites best fits the needs of each individual. For example, we will not put the severely drug addicted near the non-drug addicted, nor will we put the severely mentally ill with women and children fleeing domestic violence. The containers will be modified into dorm-like units. By partnering with businesses of all sizes and using the Washington State Apprenticeship Program, we will train workers for jobs in industries struggling to meet the demand for skilled workers. Individuals enrolled in the program can earn money by helping build containers for other sites, cleaning up the mess camping has created, or through other odd jobs. Individuals will be able to access funds once they have secured employment and have saved enough to afford the upfront costs needed to secure affordable housing. If elected, I can have this program running within the first 3 months of 2020. Residents of District 7, I ask for your vote. By setting the example with this solution in Seattle, we have the potential to change the way the entire country handles this problem. Once again, I am Isabel J. Kerner. My campaign is Kerner for Council, and I approve this message. Thank you.
Hello, Seattle voters. I'm Don Harper. I've lived in Seattle for almost 50 years and on Queen Anne for over 30, and have served on the Queen Anne Community Council for 21 years. I've been the chair of the Parks Committee for 18 years. I'm running for City Council because our City Council no longer listens to us. I'm a retired electrician who owned his own business for 30 years and is happily retired. This is not a step on the career ladder for me. We have a great deal of work to accomplish to resolve serious problems that plague our neighborhoods and businesses. We have to set mutually agreed upon priorities. We have to restore our public spaces to the public and move homeless people into homes. The mentally ill need permanent supportive housing. Helsinki did this, Salt Lake City did this, and it's working. We need to assist those working folks that are one paycheck away from being homeless so that they stay in their homes. And we must not let drug addicts camp in our neighborhoods and public spaces. We can do this if we reset our city's priorities and engage in collaborative decision making. I've been doing this work on the Queen Anne Community Council for 21 years, and I'm ready to serve Seattle to work together to tackle our tough issues. I am for more jobs that pay family wages like the new Deepwater Port at Terminal 5. I love the techies, but not everybody writes code. I'm for more parks, not fewer parks. I'm for keeping our public golf courses as they are today. We must not use precious open green spaces for anything else except recreation as our city becomes increasingly dense. I will fight to replace the Magnolia Bridge 1 for 1. I pledge to have an open door policy as a city council member. Let's work together and honestly face the issues confronting Seattle like the city we all love. I would appreciate your vote.
My name is Michael George, and I'm running for Seattle City Council, District 7. I live downtown with my wife and 2 young children. I'm worried about the direction Seattle is heading. We can't continue electing the same kind of candidates and expecting different results. I've knocked on thousands of doors, and I know from speaking with many of you that we all want the same thing: change. I'll bring practical, real-world experience to council. On the job, I've worked on complex, affordable housing, transportation, and sustainability projects. I co-founded Parents for a Better Downtown Seattle, a nonprofit dedicated to making downtown better for families. I also volunteer on countless projects to make Seattle work for people of all ages, from young families struggling to afford daycare to seniors on fixed incomes. We must change our approach to homelessness and make sure our regional partners do their fair share. We must build more low-income housing, commit to proven cost-effective homeless prevention programs, treat the subset of homeless people with mental health and substance addiction, and bring those who prey on the homeless and the rest of us to justice. We need more middle-income housing. I've managed some of the most complex affordable housing projects in the region. I have real-world expertise that will allow me to cut through the rhetoric, find inefficiencies, and use our limited resources to house more people for less. I'll lead the drive for affordable daycare, a new District 7 high school, a downtown elementary school, and high-quality community centers in Magnolia, Queen Anne, and Belltown. I'll focus on cleaning up our parks and making our streets safe. Through working on major light rail and bus rapid transit projects, I know how to leverage Sound Transit's investments to best serve District 7 and how to secure funding for major projects like the Magnolia Bridge replacement. I'll work tirelessly, hold regular office hours in each neighborhood, and make the changes we need. I ask for your support and your vote.
My name's Jason Williams, and I'm running for Seattle City Council, District 7. I grew up in a working-class family in Federal Way, the son of a teacher and a butcher. Because of strong public schools, hard work, and my parents' sacrifices, I graduated from Seattle Pacific University and later Yale University with an MBA. I've worked with world-class organizations, including Microsoft and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. My wife and I chose to return to Seattle and now raise our young daughter in this place we love. Many are worried about our city. Neighbors lament soaring housing costs, express concerns about walking home at night, and wonder what their tax dollars are buying. These are deeply felt concerns, and we must address them. I also hear a desire to focus on the future. In this future, neighbors describe a city celebrated for economic equity, natural beauty, and vibrant culture. As your council member, I will work tirelessly to make this future a reality. I will work to maintain job growth by investing in infrastructure, including the Magnolia Bridge, increasing transit, and enabling small business success. Every child deserves a fair start in life. That's why I will prioritize universal access to affordable, high-quality early learning. I will also make critical improvements to workforce development. I will preserve and enhance our open spaces that give Seattle its natural beauty. Finally, I will elevate arts and culture in the diverse communities that make our city vibrant. This vision is only possible if we restore trust to local government. This will require better provision of core city services, as well as progress on the pressing challenges of the day. Know that, as your representative, I will listen, respect your values, and conduct my work with honesty and transparency. Together, we have an opportunity to create a more vibrant, just, and equitable Seattle. Vote Jason Williams. Thank you.
My name is Jim Puget, and I'll be your next council member from District 7. I grew up in a Rainier Valley home and graduated from the University of Washington, served 35 years as a police officer and a chief of police, reducing nonviolent incarceration and speaking out against racial bias and for practical solutions to solve the opioid and homelessness crisis. I brought real hands-on experience to public safety and human services and a true understanding of unique priorities that are facing Council District 7. I've worked on complex neighborhood problems. I've worked on the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Initiative to get people off the streets and into mental health, addiction treatment, and housing. That program led to real results, a 61% drop in recidivism and more people housed and working. We need a city council that gets and focuses on data-driven solutions and listens to the voters. As a chief of police, I manage a $250 million budget, helped implement the settlement agreement, and push for needed reforms in ways that were transparent and open. If I can do that at the Seattle Police Department, I can do it with you at City Hall. Transparency, accountability, and honest communication is what you deserve. I'm running because experience, service, and collaboration matters. Most likely, I'll be the oldest person on the City Council. I'm doing this because I love the city where I was born and went to school and raised my family. I want my children and grandchildren to have that same life where they can live and play and work in this city, buy an affordable house, and send their kids to highest quality public education. We need a Seattle that works for everyone. I promise to work every day to be that voice for unity and problem solving. The bottom line is that we all know the issues, homelessness and affordability, but we need a city council member who has mature experience, and I'm the only candidate with that mature experience that brings proven leadership to the council.
Hello, my name is Andrew Lewis and I am running for Seattle City Council because it's time for a more responsive and accountable city government. This accountability starts with results on affordable housing and homelessness. As your council member, I'll fight to build 5,000 units of affordable housing in 3 years by working with state, county, and nonprofit partners through the Home and Hope Plan. This plan to create public tax-exempt multifamily housing, along with other initiatives, will allow us to rapidly increase affordable housing and reduce homelessness. I'll also advocate for increased mental health and substance abuse treatment to address the significant barriers to helping our neighbors transition out of homelessness. On public safety, I'm proud of my work as a prosecutor obtaining justice for victims and the public. We need more police officers walking our neighborhoods and more prosecutors reviewing cases. We also need to increase successful criminal diversion programs like Choose 180, where only 8 out of 245 participants have reoffended. Moreover, we need to make sure the city is being accountable with the resources it already has. I propose an annual performance auditing plan similar to King County's, which has saved $127 million in the last 3 years. This plan will free up significant resources for essential services that benefit Seattle residents and businesses. On public transportation, I will partner with Sound Transit to expand light rail through Interbay, including a rail tunnel underneath the ship canal to ensure reliable service and prevent displacing our maritime community. I will also work with state, port, and federal stakeholders to secure a one-for-one replacement to the Magnolia Bridge. My experience as a city and county prosecutor, a Seattle Human Rights Commissioner, and a rental housing stakeholder committee member will ensure I hit the ground running at City Hall. I'm a fifth-generation Washingtonian and a proud graduate of Seattle Public Schools and the University of Washington. I've been endorsed by the Martin Luther King County Labor Council, the 36th District Democrats, the 37th District Democrats, and State Representative Gail Tarleton. I ask for your vote, and it'd be an honor to serve you.
City of Seattle Proposition 1, Property Tax Renewal for the Seattle Public Library. If approved by the voters, Seattle Proposition 1 would raise approximately $219.1 million in property taxes over 7 years from 2020 to 2026. The levy funds would be used to increase spending for library operating hours, materials, technology, children's programming, and building maintenance, including earthquake retrofits. In the first year, 2020, the levy would be assessed at no more than 12.2 cents per $1,000 of assessed property value. In subsequent years, a new levy rate would be calculated with no more than 1% annual increases. An owner of a Seattle home with a median assessed value of $722,000 would pay $84 in taxes in 2020 to support the levy. Under RCW 84.36.381, qualifying seniors and others can receive an exemption that allows a reduction in overall property taxes.
In a rapidly changing Seattle, our public library system is at the heart of a healthy, equitable, and livable city. Libraries give all people, regardless of background or income, the opportunity to learn and excel through educational resources and classes. In addition to books, materials, and online resources for all Seattle residents, our libraries offer essential programs and support for Seattle's kids, families, and most vulnerable residents, from after-school homework help to online access to job listings and housing assistance. These important programs, along with the people and places that make our libraries safe and welcoming, are all supported by our library levy. By passing this levy, we can maintain and even increase neighborhood branch hours, staffing, and service levels. With your vote, this replacement levy will continue maintaining and upgrading computers, technology, and internet access at libraries and neighborhoods across the city. This levy will make sure we also continue modernizing, growing, and enhancing the library's popular physical and digital book and media collections. Critically, this levy also provides nearly 100% of major maintenance costs and will help ensure library buildings and facilities are well maintained and receive needed accessibility and earthquake improvements. This levy is not a new tax. It replaces an expiring levy. For just $3 more per month for the average homeowner, we can protect the critical investments we've made over the years and renew our commitment to a great neighborhood library system. This levy is endorsed by the Seattle Public Library Foundation, the Friends of the Seattle Public Library, Democratic organizations across the city, and many more. Please support this levy and vote yes for Seattle's libraries. Thank you.
Why should your property taxes be increased by limiting overdue book fines? This is not right. Vote no on Seattle Proposition 1, the $219 million special levy that increases your annual property tax by $85 for an average Seattle home. I am Lloyd Hara, former Seattle City Treasurer and King County Auditor and Assessor, asking you to vote no on Prop 1. City taxes and revenues are at an all-time high. I am alarmed that the property tax ballot measures are awaiting your vote. You should be concerned that there is stable library funding, not to rely upon voter-approved levies. The mayor and the council are diverting traditional library funding for pet projects. This is the least accountable tax levy. There is no oversight committee. We need public accountability. Voting no will force city officials to fully fund library systems from its traditional resources. This big new added tax will make it more difficult for homeowners, for businesses, for renters who will see their rents increase. Everyone's cost will increase. Let's keep Seattle more affordable. It's up to us to stop the mayor and the council from playing games with our tax dollars. Let's maintain library funding. Let's maintain library fines. Let's maintain accountability. Please join me and other citizens like you to vote no on Seattle Proposition 1, the $219 million property tax levy.
Seattle School District Number 1, also known as the Seattle School Board. The Seattle School Board adopts the policies that govern Seattle public schools. The board provides direction for the educational program and hires and evaluates the superintendent of Seattle schools. 7 directors make up the school board. Each director represents a district within the city. This year, 3 of the seats are on the primary ballot. Candidates for Districts 1, 3, and 6 will appear on the August 6th primary election ballot. If you live within School District 1, 3, or 6, you will have the opportunity to vote for the board position representing your district.
Hi, I'm Liza Rankin, and I'm running to be your next Seattle School Board Director in District 1, which runs along the top of our city from Lake Washington to Puget Sound. As an advocate and parent of 2 SPS students, I have spent the last several years engaging with and working alongside families and educators all over Seattle. I've visited or volunteered at half the 102 schools in our district and collaborated with parents and educators from almost all of the rest. I've seen the incredible things that happen in each of our schools and also the systemic and institutional challenges we face. I've engaged at every level to improve our public schools for students and educators, from schools to the district offices to advocating in Olympia. As a school board director, I will bring a broad and deep knowledge of SPS, as well as authentic relationships and community connections to work to improve experience and outcomes for all students, most especially those from historically marginalized groups. Every child deserves a safe and welcoming school that values and honors them and their families and wants them to succeed. I will hold the district accountable to their new strategic plan centered on equity, and I will work to provide meaningful family and community engagement opportunities. Although we are bound by budget restrictions, we can and must reflect and respond to the needs of our diverse communities. We must address the silos between central offices and schools and support consistent policy and practice at every school that advances the goals around equity and engagement, like adopting an ethnic studies curriculum that empowers students and educators, ensuring that the Washington State since time immemorial curriculum is provided at every school, provide training for inclusion so that special education students spend more time with their peers, and provide greater access to advanced and unique learning opportunities. Together with communities from across Seattle, I know we can create a district that is inclusive, responsive, and gives all of our students what they need to thrive. Thank you for your support.
Hello, I'm Eric Bloomhagen, and I'm running for Seattle School Board. I've been a Seattle Schools parent for 16 years. I've volunteered in classrooms, worked on PTA and PTO boards, and I've been honored with the Golden Acorn Award. Served on 2 district advisory committees. I'm running because of what I heard from a parent. The school district had just spent $20,000 on legal fees fighting their students' valid claim for special education services. Those services would only have cost the district $4,000 to provide. This is so wrong on every level and a prime example of how the status quo is failing our students. District staff need to follow the rules, whether that's state or federal law or district policy and procedure. We also must be doing more to meet all our students' needs. Seattle has a serious equity problem with the 5th largest opportunity gap in the nation. We need measurable action. I'm committed to learning, working with the community to find innovative solutions to create a fair and equitable system. For example, restorative justice programs at Cleveland High School are reducing disproportionate discipline. Everett schools are increasing attendance and graduation rates. Northgate Elementary has built a cohesive, diverse community. Let's learn from what these schools are doing right and get other schools moving down the same path to success. We also need to make sure students see themselves in the curriculum. We need sustained investments in ethnic studies and since time immemorial curricula. We need to increase representation of all underserved communities in every curriculum. Finally, we're likely headed toward budget cuts in the future due to persistent underfunding by the state. We need to focus our funding where it will do the most good, in the school and in the classroom. I'm for funding teachers, nurses, counselors, and librarians, and not unnecessary standardized tests. I'm Eric Blumhagen, and I will be honored to have your support.
Seattle public schools face large budget, equity, capacity, and instructional challenges. Over the years, I have advocated for policy changes about various issues from school boundaries to school funding to advanced learning policies and attended many director meetings. I have run a community blog to share information among parents. I have volunteered in the schools on a weekly basis running math clubs. I have participated in the PTSA and been part of the building leadership team for Jane Addams Middle School. I have experienced everything from IEP meetings to helping get a new building up and running to creating a school budget. As a parent of 2 children with different needs and 8 years of direct experience with Seattle Public Schools, I am now running to help build a better system for all our students, families, teachers, and staff. My focus for the board is consistency. Too much varies between school buildings. Families need stronger guarantees about each child's core experience. Everything from whether there's a full-time librarian to how much time for lunch to access to instrumental music and advanced learning depends on a student's address. Openness. Central staff have made strides in engaging with the community, but significant district decisions still happen quickly without adequate explanation or fully examining possible alternatives. I will demand greater authentic engagement. Family services. From smaller tasks like registering for schools to major challenges like finding out how to get services for a struggling student, our district needs to remove barriers. As a parent within the special education system, I know personally how hard it is to navigate SPS. Excellence and equity. We should meet students where they are and provide opportunities for continual growth. We need to build a strong, differentiated curriculum and ensure opportunities at every building to participate in activities that kindle students' passions in arts, sports, clubs, and academics. The district is rich in diversity. 53% are students of color. If we address gaps in opportunity, we will help solve gaps in outcomes. I am committed to both.
Hi there, my name is Chandra Hampson and I'm running to be your next school board member. I'm running because our children deserve a transformative education. I began advocating in our schools 6 years ago when my own children started attending public schools. Seattle is a world-class city that has the potential to be a national leader in education. However, like every parent, I've noticed the many difficulties. Seattle Public Schools face major challenges around equity, family engagement, and fiscal transparency. You've probably heard the big debates over our priorities for Seattle Public Schools. Some argue we should focus on making Seattle an innovative district that tackles social inequity and develops programs that prepare our kids for an increasingly global world. Others say that we should focus on the fundamentals, a well-run school district that provides a safe, stable learning environment. The truth is, we can do both. When we address inequity, we work to foster an environment that's safe and stable for all students. And when we focus on transparency and accountability, we build a culture that demands results and puts students first. To accomplish our goals, we need a school board with the right combination of passion and experience. As president of the Seattle Council PTSA, I've led groups of parents, community stakeholders, and elected officials, protecting funding and delivering results for Seattle students. I have an MBA from the University of Washington and decades of experience in budgeting. I've consulted on many educational issues, including and around marginalized groups. And as a proud Native American parent, Indigenous populations, I will be a strong advocate for well-funded public schools and equity in education, including eliminating disparities around racial and gender lines. Through my work, I'm proud to have earned the support of Representative Jerry Paulette, former Representative Justin Farrell, the 46th Legislative District Democrats, Council Member Deborah Juarez, School Board members Jill Geary and Zachary DeWolf, and many more. If you're looking for someone with a passion for social justice and the experience to get things done, my name is Chandra Hampson. I would be honored to have your vote.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Muniz, and I'm running to be your next Seattle School Board Director, Position 3. I was raised by my mother, Alma, who immigrated from Mexico. I grew up watching her do whatever it took to take care of her family. I would sit quietly while watching her clean offices, vacuum floors, empty trash bins, and Windex windows. Dripping in sweat, she would apologize again and again, saying, "I'm sorry, just one more office." Throughout the years, her encouragement and determination helped me to pursue an education and get a good job. My mentors along the way have shown me that all it takes is one person to believe and invest in a child for them to believe in themselves. I graduated from the University of Washington with a master's degree in education policy and leadership. Now I'm running to serve as a Seattle School Board Director in order to help more kids find their own opportunity to a brighter future. I have 3 things I care about most. First, transparency and accountability. I want to lead with the community behind me, not the other way around. This means I will commit to weekly office hours at accessible locations, but also being transparent about our budget. Second, I want to increase opportunities for all students. I will fight for a greater focus on racial equity and inclusion in all levels of the school board. We need to address the specific needs of students, from providing ethnic studies, to increasing girls' participation in STEM activities, to after-school opportunities that serve low-income students, queer students, and students of color. Third, student stability. We need to increase wraparound services for students experiencing housing instability. There should be a family engagement professional at every school. We also need to review and reform current disciplinary practices that harm students of color at higher rates. I am so grateful for the community leaders and organizations who endorsed my vision, including School Board Directors Eden Mack and Scott Pinkham, Councilmember Lorena Gonzalez, State Senators Joe Nguyen and Bob Hasagawa, and the 46 Democrats. Thank you for engaging, and I hope to have your vote August 6th. Again, my name is Rebecca Muniz, and I'm running for Seattle School Board Position 3.
Hi, my name is Molly Mitchell, and I'm running for Seattle School Board Director to ensure that every student has a pathway to success. I want to ensure all voices in our school district are heard, that you have a seat at the table, and that your concerns and needs are addressed. Our schools can do more to serve the needs of diverse students and families in our city. In my 20-year career in education, the core of my work has been centering equity and social justice. This year, I was honored to be recognized for my commitment to equity when I received the Equity Award from the Washington State Association of College Trustees. As the Director of Student Support Programs at Seattle Central College, I am focused on serving students with the highest barriers to completion and students furthest from justice throughout their entire education, including their lived experiences outside the classroom. I am passionate about expanding educational opportunities inside Washington State prisons. Additionally, I oversee support for student parents, student veterans, and those facing food insecurity. For all students to succeed, we must create learning environments that are safe, welcoming, and inclusive for all. When every student is included and engaged in their learning environment, all students benefit. As a mom and a community organizer, I believe solutions are most effective when they engage all stakeholders and are accountable to the community, which is why current School Board Director Jill Geary has endorsed my campaign. The school board can do better to collaborate with families, educators, community organizations, and local agencies to generate policies that support every student's educational success. I pledge to represent your voice and to work for high-quality education for all students. My name is Molly Mitchell, and I'd be honored to earn your vote for Seattle School Board.
Hello, my name is Crystal Liston. I'm a gay disabled parent of 2 stepsons who attend West Seattle schools and a member of your community who is very passionate about our schools. I'm so passionate, in fact, that I have made it my mission to volunteer in every school in our district, as I do not understand how a board member can govern a body of people they know nothing about. As of 2018-2019 school year, I have volunteered in 20 of our 103 schools. And as a volunteer, I have noticed a disconnect in our school community as a whole. The reason I am running for school board is to lead a paradigm shift where schools interact and communicate with one another. A shift where the Seattle community is held accountable to participate and nurture our schools. And a shift where school board members are active in the various schools and communicate to their students, parents, and teachers. Instead of telling schools what they should be doing, we ask, we have resources, what do you need? Another aspect to our school district that has become clear to me is a lack of equity. Why do some schools have band instruments for students but other schools do not? Why are social workers not in all of our schools to support our students with trauma and our faculty who need support from their administration? Why has the current school board chosen to lay off school librarians? Why, as a progressive city, are we teaching a white-controlled curriculum? I'm a firm believer that our values are in our budget and our current school board is failing to represent our community's values. Maybe you're asking yourself, what qualifies you to be on the school board? My response is this. I can sit here and give you a list of my degrees, I have 2, and a list of my trade school certificates, I have 1. But what qualifies me to be on the Seattle School Board is that I am a parent and that I am a professional volunteer. And what is a Seattle School Board member? An unpaid volunteer. So in conclusion, if you are truly part of the movement for change, then be vulnerable and courageous and vote for someone different. Vote for me, Crystal S. Liston. Be bold. The mighty forces will come to your aid. Goethe said that.
You've just seen all the video statements of the candidates and ballot issues that appear on the Seattle primary ballot. For King County and Port of Seattle candidates and issues, watch the King County version of the Video Voters Guide. We will produce another Video Voters Guide for candidates who advance to the November general election. This program is a collaboration of the Seattle Ethics and Elections Commission, the Seattle Channel, and King County TV. Again, this will be a vote-by-mail election. Instead of going to a polling place, ballots will be sent to all registered voters. Look for your ballot in the mail after July 17 and vote and return it on or before Tuesday, August 6th. Remember to sign the envelope with your voted ballot. Ballots can be returned via U.S. mail or at one of King County's secured ballot drop boxes. Ballots must be postmarked by August 6th. You can track the progress of your ballot online and find the location of drop boxes by visiting King County Elections at kingcounty.gov/elections. Thanks for joining us. We'd like to hear from you about the Video Voters Guide. To comment on this guide, please call 206-684-8500.